Hello, Jonah.
Hello, Connor. You sound very, very nervous.
I am, because this is episode 10 of Album Check, and we're talking about. What are we talking about? We're talking about Funeral by Arcade.
Yes, we are.
If this is your first time joining us on the podcast, maybe check out another episode first, because I am tired. Jonah, I think you're pretty tired,
I'm quite tired.
and I haven't listened to this album as much as I should have, but that has not stopped us.
You are really selling us right now. Like, if this is a boardroom pitch, this is to get us on Spotify, sponsored by Spotify. If you went in and did that, they'd be all over us for sure.
Well, it's our charming personalities.
Yes,
rather than our
technical prowess.
Technical prowess or our looks, which is why we have a podcast and not a TV
and don't
show.
use cameras.
Yeah, so anyway, this is an album. It's by a Canadian band. Yeah, I think there's because there's French Canadian, I think.
Oh, yeah.
So there's French on this album.
Yeah. And there's enough of it that I didn't bother to translate all of it.
Again, this podcast is known for its due diligence. So they went to university and they went, we like music, let's make a band. And they made a band, and then eventually they went, well, okay, let's make an album. But then a whole bunch of the members, they had found other family members, and they died. 4 band members had family members that died within a year. So they called the album Funeral because
did they? I presume they changed the content of the album based on that.
I have no idea. I mean, I think the album was recorded in a week.
Oh wow!
So
damn, that's insane.
Obviously they had the songs written beforehand.
Yeah.
It was just kind of getting them down.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. But I think it probably would affect all of them individually, and then the music. And I think you can hear that shine through, because man, this album has got some highs and lows in terms of the sadness.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is a really really good album.
This album is fantastic.
I had listened to this before, but I've really grown to love it a lot. In listening to it for this. Yeah, I think we should get straight into it with Neighborhood 1 Tunnels.
This is like an art album, because they have 4 songs called Neighborhood, and they have to differentiate the title with brackets.
See, this is something I'm hoping you'd have some insight on. Is there a concept running through this that I haven't picked up on? Why the neighborhood connection thing?
Look, this is what we call Connor's bullshit zone, where Connor talks bullshit and tries to come up with something. Not entirely sure. I think this album has a long-running theme of kind of growing up and childhood.
I did pick up on that.
And I think the kind of neighborhood kind of connects into that childhood thing.
You'll remember your childhood neighborhood quite intensely.
Yeah, and I think that the idea that your childhood neighborhood is like your entire world, in a sense. If you lived, around people your own age, your kind of entire social bubble hangout thing exists in this very kind of small local area.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. It's a nice interpretation. Not too pretentious.
Yeah, so I guess this is kind of going back to that as a place of memory and a source of inspiration to mine.
I quite like that, because obviously the album's called Funeral, which implies death, and youthfulness is sort of implies life, the complete opposite. So I think that's a nice contrast, whether intentional or not. I feel like that has to be intentional.
The death of childhood.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this song, the first one, Neighborhood Number 1, Tunnels, seemed to really be kind of set during a snow day. Really kind of quite pleasant memory of seems to be literally digging tunnels of snow to his friend's house.
Yeah.
I will dig a tunnel from my window to yours.
I sort of read it as he was going to see a lover, but now that I say that out loud, I don't really have any evidence to. Well, no, I think because in verse 2 it says like that. Then we tried to name our babies, but we've forgot all the names that. So I guess that sort of backs that theory up a bit, but
yeah,
I could be pulling that out of thin air.
Look, confusing art lyrics that bounce from one end to the other. Who knows? But yeah, this is such a great start. The piano like at points sounds like it's been recorded from like a distance, so there's a real kind of distant feeling to it.
It sounds. I have the words ethereal and wondrous written down, and I mean, it sounds really stunning.
That like dun, 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 that like little melody is
beautiful,
great. Really kind of catchy and brings it in. And this song does the things I keep harping on about, in that it kind of uses that as a motif that it kind of reuses at the end with the singing that same same melody. It's which I just love it so much.
The drums especially, they give the rest of the instrumentation a lot of room to breathe. They were like very dry and hollow sounds, and they let that sort of melody shine through and sort of carry the track. God damn, man, that outro piano is just absolutely good. There's so many fantastic outros on this album, so many. But then the story sort of continues on to, like, they seem to isolate themselves from the neighborhood a bit. Like they're talking about forget all we used to know, then our skin gets thicker from living out in the snow. And like you mentioned earlier, that theme of the death of childhood. It's like they start to forget the way things were and they change, coming into that adult world. I think that's reminiscent of that.
I mean, I think this song kind of almost works as a kind of microcosm of whole growing up thing. Is continues on that second verse. Sometimes remember our bedrooms and our parents' bedrooms.
There's a lot of nostalgia,
yeah, but and just those kind of weird, a childhood bedroom being kind of your very space, and that very much represents you like at that moment in time. And that kind of nostalgia for that kind of fragment of that and of other people you knew and what they were like at that age. But it all kind of fades obviously as you kind of grew up.
The other lyrics that I love are just the outro lyrics, the purify the colors, purify my mind. I'm like slightly obsessed with the idea of like purity and like out with the old, in with the new type thing. So
want to be pure. I'm just imagining that It's Always Sunny, like Danny DeVito crawling out of the sofa.
Maybe not quite that, but anyway. So yeah, even if I don't quite understand what that lyric means, I love the imagery of it.
I just want to be pure.
I just want to be pure. Shout out Danny DeVito. He's a real one.
I don't even know what that means anymore. Anyway, yeah, let's move on. Let's move on to the second song. Leica. Does this have a? I have it written down. I can't remember it in my head. Does this have an accordion in here? Is that this one?
Let me see. Harmonica I have written down, but it could be an accordion. I can't. Yeah, I know what you mean. I can't quite tell the difference, to be honest.
It's just really weird because it gives. I mean, I like it. It sounds. I love the song, but it gives it a very seasidey vibe to me.
Seaside. That word didn't spring to mind, but I think I can appreciate that. Yeah.
I don't know, it's just strange because it's a song called Neighborhood. Maybe they live by the sea. I don't know.
Wow.
Probably not in Canada, but anyway.
Once again, with the sort of themes of childhood or whatever, to me, the sort of chimes that come in quite early on, they sound very childish. And I had harmonica written down. To me, that's also quite a childish instrument. Like, it's not something you don't hear people say like, "Oh, I'm grade 8 harmonica." Like, it's just something a kid plays for fun.
Can you imagine that guy? There's a guy out there who has mastered the harmonica.
Man, there's someone who's grade 8 recorder. I guarantee it.
Oh god, I feel so bad looking back at my primary school music teacher. Had to take 30 children with
and
recorders.
It was just
it was a horrendous instrument.
It was fun at the time, though. It was always exciting. the drums in this are very, very raw. I love the sort of sloppy performance, and I know this board has negative connotations, but I mean that in a positive way. I love the vocal mixing on it with the vocals quite far back and just letting the strange instrumentation breathe.
It's those strings. They're like oscillating and like stabbing at points. It's
exact
like
stabbing.
tense.
That's it. I have sharp and strained strings written down. But yeah, stabbing can definitely fit along with that. And the bass too is just sort of oscillating it. I think it's just 2 notes. It's just like boom, boom. I'm
gonna take that little clip of you doing that and put it in GarageBand and see what I can
see what you can make. Maybe don't. That would be terrible. The lyrics of this one, I honest to God could not tell you a single thing except that Laika was a dog that the Russians sent into space.
First animal in space, I think.
Yes, that sounds familiar, but I don't know.
Apparently he was just a stray dog though. He just like took some stray dog. This dog was just going about being a homeless dog. Next thing you know, he's in a fucking rocket ship. Like holy shit!
That dogs are far more conscious than we currently believe.
Well, he died. He died. He was like asphyxiated. Asphyxiation. He like choked to death or whatever.
Oh, I thought he made it back. That's very sad.
No. The Russians weren't like they weren't like we need to get this stray dog back. They were like, right, let's send him up there and see.
Why did they send him into space then if they knew he was going to die?
Well, they want to test it on an animal before they did a human first.
I guess, but let's not get into
anyway. Okay, let's discuss the ethics of the space race. So again, the song kind of has the subtitle Laika. I guess because the main chorus being "They should have named you Laika." I guess I don't know. I think maybe his brother was like very adventurous or something.
I don't know because it talks about like there's the lyric, "It's for your own good, it's for the neighborhood."
Yeah, there's that line, do it for the good of the neighborhood.
Yeah, like he's going away, like obviously mirroring Laika's experience, but I can't quite tell what any of it means.
There's a line I really like. For a year we caught his tears in a cup, and now we're going to make him drink it. Like I have no idea what that means.
I don't know. Genius says it's a second-hand account of one individual's struggle to overcome an introverted sense of suicidal desperation. How they got that, I have no idea. But that's what Genius says, and as far as I'm aware, Genius is a very, very good source for these things.
But like the line after that is, "Come on, Alex, don't die or dry up," which in the context of just like crying, like don't dry up as in don't stop crying, is something like kind of darkly comic about that to me.
Yeah, it's definitely not a happy song. I can tell that much.
Then there's that bridge as well. Like when Daddy comes home, you always start a fight so the neighbors can dance in the police disco lights. I mean, I think that's just really interesting writing.
Yeah, they bring up lights a lot on this album.
Oh, I had actually noticed that.
Yeah, I'll get to that. Well, on the next song especially. So yeah, I don't know what this means. I don't think you quite know what this means either.
Neither do I, but it sounds good.
Probably move on. It does sound really good.
So we'll move on to one that makes more sense. Un sans lumière.
Okay. That's good if it makes more sense to you, because it doesn't make more sense to me.
No, it doesn't make any sense to me. I was lying.
Oh.
Right. Because I didn't do it beforehand or write it down. Let's Google Translate this. A year without light. Oh my god. I did not expect it to be that. That's a little too depressing.
I mount a horse that is wearing blinders. God knows what that means, but anyway, before we get to lyrics, let's talk about the sound of this one. This one sounds absolutely beautiful to me. I love the interplay of the vocals and the guitar. They sort of start in sync, doing the same notes, and then they fall out of sync, and then they go back into sync. I think that's a really cool dynamic. Synth work, there's some synth pad sort of building the atmosphere a little bit, and there's quite a big chugging bass line. And man, the switch up that comes in on this song later on is
there's so many switch ups on this
I
album.
know.
It's crazy.
And it's so exciting that guitar is really fun and energetic, and the vocals just get drowned out. And man, those drum fills, they get me hyped. There's so much momentum to them.
I mean, like at the start of this, it is sort of melancholy. It's it's slow. The French makes it sound sophisticated. So I feel like I have I appreciate art. This song has French in it. But then that point where you'd usually expect a bridge, like you said, like transforms into this like far more upbeat kind of electric-y song. It has that real like up and down strum, real let's go, a real let's kind of go on an adventure kind of thing to
definitely. It. Yeah, I can't quite tell if this is a happy or a sad song. I did want to. I mentioned the light thing. Like in that first verse, there's the line "a year without light." Verse 2, they're talking about eyes shooting sparks. Obviously, sparks are bright. They're bright light. Then in the chorus, there's mention of shadow, the absence of light. And there's somewhere later on, they talk about streetlights. I
didn't pick up on any of this.
Again, how these connect, I could not tell you, but I really enjoy sort of consistent imagery like that. It's just really pretty to me, aesthetically, anyway.
Well, that's interesting. I wonder what else we'll pick up in the lyrics on the way through. That's cool.
Spoiler: probably not a lot.
Yeah, I really really like this song.
Absolutely. Then we get Neighborhood 3, Power Out.
Oh god, my things are all, my notes are all like the wrong way around.
Oh no.
Sorry.
Have you gotten songs mixed up?
Yeah. Yep. I was about to just introduce Kettles. I'm really glad you're on the next track.
Well, anyway, this is one of the bangers of the album.
Oh, I know. It's so like kind of like aggressive at the start. There's like crunching distorted guitar.
Oh
yeah. And you're like, oh, this feels a little
switching
gritty.
Yeah.
Underground.
Yeah, there's so much energy to it. The bass too is absolutely massive. It's so big and distorted. And look, I'm always down for that. The guitar, you mentioned the tone of it sounds really nice, but it's just dummy catchy too.
Catchy.
It's so good. And the chimes really emphasize that. I love the very, very liberal use of the snare drum. The snares are probably my favorite drum because when you just hear the snare that's right, your neck just like cracks in the right way.
Does
like
it?
No, like if you're bouncing your head along to it or nodding your head along to it, a good snare will just add that little extra momentum to it. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. Maybe I'm weird, but
sorry. Just for listeners, Jonah is very cold at the minute, and he's wearing gloves. And every time you like bring your hands up and get your gloves, and it's just like slightly weird to see someone wearing gloves indoors. So it looks like you're gonna like look like murder gloves or something.
It feels weird. You don't know what it's like. This is my life now. I have these on all the time. I constantly have a coat on in the house. But anyway, let's not get onto the topic of my horribly uninsulated house. There's a counter riff that comes in later on, which is very chunky. Again, this track just feels huge and big, and the dramatic strings, they really emphasize that. And I love the you mentioned this earlier on for, I think, the first song, the distant vocals. Or maybe it was me that
you mentioned that. I'll take it.
I always love things like that. They just make the track feel so spacious and grand.
The cool thing for me about this one is it starts off with that really overpowering kind of electric guitar, and then when he's literally like when he says like power out, that all falls away. That's gone, and you suddenly hear like all these like chimes, and that's kind of the dominant kind of sound in it, and it's like, oh, you've just simulated a power cut, you smart art people. Yeah. So I like that. That tickles my brain.
Yeah, that gives me endorphins. I enjoy that. the if we were speaking about light earlier, there is the line, light a candle for the kids, Jesus Christ, don't keep it hid. So I think this song, at least loosely, is about caring for and looking out for the next generation, because it can seem quite bleak sometimes. Like there's the line, don't have any dreams, don't have any plans, growing up in some strange storm, nobody's cold, nobody's warm. And, being a young person, sometimes the state of the world is very overwhelming, and it doesn't always feel like the older generations are really empathetic to the situation. So I think this is trying to shine a light on that sentiment.
I kind of had a slightly different interpretation, and I guess I took it as power cut being suddenly very sudden, that kind of idea of like the rug being pulled out from under you. I think I took it in as kind of the general theme of this album, talking about leaving childhood and that kind of entering adulthood sort of thing. Maybe that kind of sudden rug pull moment people have when you're like, oh shit, I gotta look after myself. Or like for many of the people, the musicians on this album, the members of the band, someone dies and it's like, yeah. So I guess I took the kind of the power cut as
I think that can sort of relate, because now I don't have any lyrics to back this up, but on Genius it's said it's speaking about the economic boom of the 80s and subsequent kind of crash in the 90s. So it's like you have one generation that's very rich and doing okay for themselves, and then everything crashes, like a power cut, and then the kids are sort of left to fend for themselves later on. So I don't think those two sort of sentiments are completely contradictory. Another thing to back up what I was saying before, there's the line, and the power's out in the heart of man, take it from your heart, put it in your hand. I think that's sort of encouraging people to sort of distribute the love in the hard times, the power cut. So like, don't just keep it for yourself.
That's very wholesome. How lovely.
How lovely. It would be really nice if some more people would do that. But anyway, yeah, that's my main interpretation.
Yeah, I get there's strings and parts of this that are so tense and like anxiety inducing for me. And then in that second half when the main electric drops out again, it sounds like maybe the electric guitar is being muted. So then you just really hear that like kind of pick scraping against the strings.
Yeah, I love that.
You almost think like a not far off, like lighting a match or something.
Oh,
very, like, dragging sort of.
I like that. That's
I don't think that's like kind of intentional, but that's kind of what my brain kind of connected it to.
But intentional or not, it still adds something for sure. Okay, what's it? Neighborhood 4, the last of the
this one's Kettles.
neighborhood songs. Yes, this one is Kettles.
I think that's just such a terrible name for a song.
What, 7 kettles?
Kettles, yeah. Oh, it's 7 kettles, it's not just one. Oh my god.
There's 7 of them.
That's even worse. Okay, I'm such an idiot. Why is there 7?
I don't know. I have absolutely no idea. I can sort of loosely make some insight on this song, but not a whole lot. I think it's about the passage of time, which again, youth into adulthood. We keep going back to this. They really, really like talking about that. Specifically the line, time keeps creeping through the neighborhood, killing old folks, waking up babies just like we knew it would. So
that's
even
cycle of life.
Yeah, like it's sort of inevitable, but it still really sucks.
Old people are gonna die, new babies gonna be born.
Yeah, damn, very insightful gun.
That's what he's saying, but he just says it fancier than me.
No, I know. It's just funny.
I say it like the common man, and I get insulted. But when Butler goes in his artsy voice, man, and you're like, oh, look at this.
Look, hearing it distilled is just very amusing to me. The beginning of this is so creepy.
Well, just that
everything out of tune and like.
Oh yeah,
crazy. Yeah. I that stuff's insane. I don't know how they pull off stuff like that.
I think when it gets into it, this is a much slower, kind of gentle finger picked guitar.
Yeah,
and
very simple main riff.
Yeah, it's very well placed in the album. Shows kind of a real a good sense of pace, I think, because coming off of Power Out, which is quite fast paced and aggressive, then to pull it back a little bit with a song like this, it's a nice little breather, and it's very kind of understated.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think you're spot on with that, kind of reflecting on how time is going fast, because that's something you don't really do as a child, because you don't really even have as much life to reflect on.
Yeah.
The whole idea of, if you keep checking something, it's not going to happen.
Oh, like moment to moment, nothing changes.
Yeah.
But okay, yeah.
Yeah, over time, kind of everything changes, sort of thing.
Yeah, I think sort of musically, to back up those themes, those strings, they have a very melancholic quality to them, because this is not a happy song. And man, his vocal performance is pained. Like, it's a emotion in that, and I think those sort of amplify those themes quite well.
Yeah, I just don't understand why there's 7 kettles. I don't understand, because I get the kettle in terms of watching it thing. I don't know. There's not sound of a kettle. I always like when there's a little bit of not sound stuff in there, so that was nice.
Look, I don't know what's going on, man. I don't understand this album. It's very clever. Next up, we have Crown of Love. Track 6.
This one is so good.
I thought you'd like this one a lot. This one feels very theatrical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that shit. It's very kind of waltzy at the start. It feels like a
6/8 time signature.
Is that a waltz signature?
Normally it's 3/4, but 6/8 and 3/4. Look, I don't know much music stuff, but they sort of have a similar quality to them rhythmically.
Well,
so yeah,
Well, in my dumb brain, I felt that, and it made me feel like a dance.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, which I guess is the intention. It has that real thumping part to it that feels really foreboding.
The kick drum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess that waltz kind of does make the kind of love story of it, or the breakup, I guess, slightly more tragic. I guess they're literally kind of dancing around it. It has this thing where it kind of switches between the male and female perspective.
Yeah.
And with the chorus kind of being sung from the girl's perspective, if you still want me, please forgive me. And this guy, he's still really pining out after. Yeah, and there's just so much longing in the song. The strings, I think, really help with that.
Tense.
Yeah, there is that real longing to it, and it kind of, as it goes on, it seems like it gets faster and faster.
Yeah, there's a definite tempo change throughout this for sure.
But it's slow, it's gradual, and kind of, as it gets like nearer to the end, it almost feels like everything's going to tip over, and then
yeah, exactly.
Boom, you're into this. It completely switches track again. You're in this like real, like, dancey thing. I guess if the first 3/4 are like a kind of classical waltz dance, the last quarter's almost slightly more modern.
I think possibly the time signature changes too, from 6/8 to, I'm trying to hear it in my head, I think it might move to 4/4, which is the more modern, modern and upbeat. Well, it's not necessarily upbeat, but it's a different type of dance, So yeah, you're definitely onto something with that. There's some cool lyrics in this, like, my love keeps growing, still the same, just like a cancer. Like, obviously, cancer has very negative connotations because cancer is bad. So I love the contrast of love and cancer there. And there's the imagery of, in my heart, there's flowers growing on the grave of our old love. So it doesn't feel like it's died quite for one of them, but for the other it has, which is very sad.
Yeah. Sorry. I don't know. You were talking. I'm gonna be honest. I wasn't really here. I don't know where I was. And then I came back to Earth, and realized that it was my turn to speak, but I didn't actually have anything to say.
Just the way, I wish you all could see the way Connor was looking into the camera there. It was absolutely, his eyes were just wide. It was so funny.
Anyway, I say we move on. We move on to the next song.
As you wake up.
Which is also
a banger.
Yeah, this one's also very good. That would have been a great transition, Jonah, if you if you told me to wake up when I was in that state, we could.
Oh man,
it was perfect. It was perfect.
I thought you were just waiting on me to say something else. I was like, oh no,
it's a perfect setup.
Anyway,
God,
yeah, this one's a banger too. That riff is huge, distorted, and therefore really, really cool.
Yeah.
The layered vocals too, they just feel grand and important, and just I'm always down for layered vocals. They are just
always.
Yeah, they are one of the most wonderful sounds to me.
I really like how the space which there are between the lyrics are kind of it's a slightly weird delivery. I'm really failing with the words here, but it's not a kind of, how do I describe what is in my brain?
It's fine. We get edited down.
There's that kind of, it's like dun dun big like gap, dun dun big gap. There's
a big, right, yes, yes.
The pace of them is very kind of slow and strange,
deliberate, yeah.
Almost spoken word rather than necessarily sung all the way through, and then it kind of picks up with that "someone told me not to cry," which is also a great line. I guess kind of thinking back to when you're a child and someone
tells you not to cry.
You're not supposed to. But then continue on, know that I'm older, my heart's colder. I can see that's a lie. There's
you should cry.
You should cry. The album crack check.
Endorses
crying. Get those emotions out. But yeah, I mean, the idea that at the time was like a genuine thing that you maybe been told to repress, and I guess kind of the negative aspects of your childhood that you can only sort of start to make sense of as you get older. All the stuff that's being kind of preloaded into your brain, and you're like, oh god,
I can break this, and they told me things that were wrong, and that's okay.
The people I trusted were wrong.
What? No. That I think, like, to me, I have written down that this song feels like a moment of great realization, and that's not talking about the lyrics necessarily. And I guess that sort of is the theme of the song, just the realization of certain things in adulthood, like everything is not the way you were told it would be, and like it's okay to cry, and things like that.
I think that kind of harmony of it, the vocal airings, do make it feel like a kind of grand realization. That kind of like wake up. And then there's that line like hold your mistake up, which I really quite like, kind of that you kind of own it, acknowledge it, learn from it, sort of thing. And again, another like switch up, where it kind of has this
another tempo change,
a kind of happier ending. There's like groovy little piano line, that whole like with my lightning bolts are glowing, kind of seeing how you're going to move forward. I think it's lovely. I saw a thing online that this song takes like sinks a full octave.
Really? Oh, that's really cool.
So yeah,
I didn't pick up on that.
There you go.
There's a couple other lyrics I just want to point out before we move on. There's the line, "Our bodies get bigger, but our hearts get torn up." That was a little bit too real. Like, why are you gonna say it like that?
It's only Thursday.
And then the line, "Something filled up my heart with nothing." Ow.
What is the question?
Nothing. That's the thing. Nothing. But yeah, I just think there's some horribly depressing imagery there. Not quite sure what it means, but I like it. I think. I don't know if I do like it actually.
Yeah. Anyway, another good song.
Yeah. Haiti.
So I believe that. Oh god, right? Okay, I'm gonna horribly butcher her name. Her name is like Rain Shasan. It looks like how lasagna is spelled, but I feel like her name is not Shasanya.
What if it is? I mean, you've just made fun of her.
Oh well, no, it's like it's French. It's a Frenchy name. It can't be Shasanya. If it is, I'm sorry. If you're called Shasanya, I am sorry.
Look,
both for
man, I try to rein him in, but I just can't.
I'm sorry, both my pronunciation and the fact that you you have a name. That's Lasagna. Would you like some lasagna, Lasagna? I'm sorry. Anyway, the song's good.
I think it's maybe not that it's bad, but it's probably my least favorite one.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. But oh yes, the point I was making was lasagna. The girl, her name,
lasagna.
The singer, her parents were from Haiti. Haiti speaks French, I believe, or there's a big French because it was taken over by France.
Yeah, I was gonna say is there some kind of, or was there some kind of major conflict in Haiti, because there's a lot of war imagery here about like graves and soldiers and things like that.
Yeah,
wounded mother.
So I believe that there was it was sort of a dictatorship by this guy. Whole bunch of people fled Haiti, I guess, including this lady with not a silly name.
Lasagna.
Her parents flew or escaped from Haiti. During this kind of dictatorship, a lot of people died. I think that's why there's a lot of comments about kind of unborn cousins. I think that's in French, maybe those parts, because family members and stuff were killed, and forced to kind of flee. So I guess this is kind of her song. What's the word? Paying tribute to her kind of homeland.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
That kind of wounded mother I'll never see.
Again, looking back at where you come from and the theme of death running through. Yeah, instrumentally, this one is a bit more stripped back. This weird sort of wailing, I guess. I don't know if it's an instrument or a vocal, but it's strange. And the very strange wind instruments that I could not name if I wanted to. Her vocals are almost creepy, to be honest. I think that has something to do with the fact that a lot of this is in French and I don't understand it, which is probably mildly offensive. And then there's my favorite lyric in this is soon we will reclaim the earth, all the tears and all the bodies bring about our second birth. Again, like earlier, I love the idea of like purity and rebirth, and out with the old, in with the new, and that sort of reminds me of that. And sort of in terms of the imagery, that they mentioned flowers at some point in the song, and I sort of associate that with a similar theme, I guess. But yeah, I don't have a huge amount to say about this one.
I really like that that little piano riff that kind of goes through it. Very kind of light, pleasant, upbeat, which is why I was quite surprised to learn how sad this song is when you actually read the lyrics. But yeah, again, I don't have a lot to say, but again, it's a weaker song on the album, but this song is full of such top tier songs that that's it's still very, very good.
Like, this is considered to be a classic album for sure.
I think it was Pitchfork's album of the year it came out.
That's cool.
So yeah,
I didn't even know Pitchfork had been around that long, but there you go.
I think. I wonder, is this the one that has like a really pretentious Pitchfork review? I think it is. That's like
the whole album or the song?
No, sorry. Pitchfork did like a review on the album, and it has like a really pretentious. Yes. How did we get here? Ours is a generation overwhelmed by frustration, unrest, dread, and tragedy.
Damn.
Fear is wholly pervasive in American society, but we manage nonetheless to build our defenses in subtle ways. This is an album review for Funeral.
Look,
oh my god,
they're probably a better album reviewer than us, so we should probably shut up.
Yeah, that's true.
Next up, we have Rebellion, also known as Lies. I don't like bracketed titles, man. It makes sense for the neighborhood ones, but this, nah, I don't mess with it.
Well, I don't mind it because the lies are kind of all in the backing vocals for this song.
Then call it Lies. Don't call it Rebellion.
Well,
pick one. Aesthetically, the brackets look just I don't mess with them.
Okay. Well, okay.
Well, I'm hoping you have some lyrical insight in this one because I do not know.
I kind of took it, I guess, as like conformity, the kind of sleeping, giving in, not trying. and you can kind of take that conformity whatever way you like.
Okay.
You know, it can be political, it can be whatever your parents do. Yeah, so that sleeping is giving in, and every time you kind of close your eyes, every time you ignore it, you're kind of lying to yourself or ignoring the truth of a situation.
Yeah, okay, I can see that now. Like, people try and hide the night underneath the covers, and people say you'll die faster than without water, but I know it's just a lie. Yeah, I see that. I'm sold. I'm sold, Connor.
I guess you could take the rebellion in the title as a kind of encouragement to not give in and to rebel.
Even rebellion / lies would look better.
Okay, you really cut off in there.
It would. I'm sorry. Anyway, musically, I like the intro to this a lot. It's like this glitchy background static. I don't really know. But the amazing thing about this song to me is there's just like one piano chord playing over and over.
Oh,
but
fuck,
it's like,
it is!
It's rising and falling and in intensity in the way that it's played. So it just has so much tension to it, and when there is a shift in the chord, when it changes later on, it feels absolutely huge. It's like, whoa.
You really feel it like when it descends and it kind of goes up down, and
yeah. The strings in the guitar are also absolutely gorgeous. And there's these like background chants, which again, layered vocals, we love them. And the like I mentioned, that I think it's a full-on key change later on. It like ramps up the energy to 100, which again they managed to do a lot on this album. So yeah, this is a really fantastic song.
Yeah, I mean, I love the back and forth with the main line and the backing vocals with that, lies. I really love that. Underneath the covers, come on, hide the lovers. I really love that kind of rhyme. I love how he sounds like he's trying to whisper it at first, as if he's trying like not to get caught on the come on, hide the lovers.
Yeah, I didn't pick up on that.
It's just really kind of really nice. Yeah, great song.
But then finally we get to the best song in that album for sure. This is an incredible outro.
Oh, this one is so good it hurts a little bit. Yeah, I think this one kind of sums up the whole album, in my opinion.
That's great imagery. I love that.
Yeah, just this kind of idea of, childhood, comparing childhood being, or life, I guess, to a car. In childhood, you're in the back seat, you're not in control, you're kind of being driven about. The switch to adulthood, where you're in charge, and you're the one driving. I believe the Renee, or whatever her name is, her mum died 6 years, 5-6 years prior. I guess the idea of her being kind of the eldest.
Oh, was her name Alice?
Yes, so that's why. Okay. Yes, sorry, that's why the whole Alice died line. And I guess I think it was maybe her grandmother died as well.
Okay.
More recent
my
the album.
tree's losing all its leaves.
Yeah, so I think maybe that's
really clever too. Yeah, that line.
So she's kind of the oldest woman, the one really in charge. She's on her own, sort of thing.
Yeah,
crashing into the driving seat.
Weirdly, it doesn't feel completely pessimistic.
No, there's a weird kind of
nostalgia, but also kind of hope to it.
Yeah, hope.
And just though this sounds stunning. Like her vocals are just ridiculously
it's amazing.
Good.
Amazing.
It's incredible. The piano, it's really simple but feels magical, and I think adds a lot to that hopeful feeling we were talking about. And the light guitar makes the track feel sort of unburdened. When the electric guitar and the bass come in, they just sound huge, and like the bass is really tonally exciting to me, and you can hear it's a real bass because you hear the slides up and down the fretboard, and the crescendo that gives me that sort of goosebumps transcendent feeling that I am like completely addicted to.
Yeah, just how high pitched her voice gets. Just the climax of everything.
Yeah,
it does that perfect kind of bittersweet feel to it.
Yeah, and that's sort of adulthood in a nutshell.
Yeah, this overall is a fantastic album that I think deserves all the hype and acclaim that definitely. It gets.
Yeah, this I'm like, as I said, I listened to this before and I was like, this is really cool, but man, this is a beautiful album. you definitely listen to this, especially if you're like a young adult.
I feel like this kind of we're both 20, so we're kind of entering that precipice. We're crossing over, and I think this is a good time to listen to that album. It hits where it needs to.
It's different, bro.
Yeah. Yes, that's us. We should have talked about what we're doing next time.
I guess we'll talk about it after, because we don't want to bore them with all our ramblings.
Well, add it in post. Okay, thank you for listening. If you did, that was really nice.
Follow us on stuff. TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, which we never use.
But we will.
YouTube. If you follow us, we'll use it. If anyone actually likes Twitter anymore.
Anyway, we're done.
Bye.
We're done. We're dead. Take a funeral. I don't know. Okay, end it.